Yo, what's up? What's up? What's
What's
up?
up?
You ready for it?
Yep.
Let me do it.
Go ahead.
Oh, hell. The Knights of the Gimmick Table, where we spit the truth at the infamous round table and your feelings get left at the door. I am Boogaloo. This is LowRyda, and we are the dead presidents.
What's
Give a
up,
shout out,
everybody?
son.
What's up, everybody? Shout out to Cicadas for the awesome music and Charles Redmond for making that video. Um, we're gonna get started by paying some bills.
All right, let's do it. Oh, sleeves.com. Hey, if you or anybody in your family is an athlete, introduce them to Sleeves. Go on their website. You got everything you need for all sports: arm sleeves, knee pads, boxers, head wraps, everything you need. Even the dirty
Dick
boxers, man. I
dick
love the one
sleeves.
I just cut the dick hole in it and let my meats fly.
Hey, and
And
that.
use the promo code MWA Pod for your 10% discount.
All right. Yeah. And healthvape.com. Shout out to Health Vape. Health Vape sells their healthy vaping alternatives. All their products have no nicotine, no harmful or addictive chemicals. They're vitamin infused, so make sure you pick yourselves up some of their vape and pod products using our code MWA Pod for that 10% discount.
Word. What
And
else we got?
yo, hold on. Let me run this in the bottom real
Let's
quick.
see it. Let's see it. Show me.
Boom, right?
Oh man, we got merch. We
Store
got merch.
Frontier, right?
.com
So with the storefrontier.com slash
backslash.
MWA world, excuse me, you guys can get your very own
Knights,
boom.
Knights of the Gimmick Table T-shirt.
Yep, they got t-shirts, they got fucking COVID mask, they got koozies, onesies, tank tops, fucking all kinds of
Hoodies.
shit.
It's getting
Yeah,
cold. It's gonna get a
yeah,
cold
yeah,
winter. Get yourself a Knights of the Gimmick Table hoodie.
yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, they got hoodies and long sleeve shirts and all of that good stuff.
You gotta
We
get
all
some skull caps because my
and
head
that
gets cold in the winter.
And at the same time, guys, make sure y'all follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm trying to click on it right now.
There you go.
MWA World. Like, subscribe on YouTube, MWA Podcast Network, where you guys can catch all of our shows, right? We have Knights of the Gimmick Table with us. Then you have Wrestling
Shooting
with
shit.
Sports with us and King
Yeah,
Mega,
King
shooting
Mega
the shit shooting the shit
uncensored
uncensored
with Pierce
with
Austin.
Pierce Austin. By the way, boom, you can get that shirt
What?
too, right?
Look at that. That's what I'm
That's a
talking about
dope
right there.
shirt,
I
man.
like that.
We also got the Get Funked. You can
Yeah,
get with that, right?
you should get it and watch the show.
Yeah, yeah. Killing the
And on the
business
business, Angel in the
with the
game.
three
Three
kings.
kings.
Yeah,
King
yeah.
Mega, Kingpin Angel, and Burger King, Glenn Sexton.
Yep. Then there's also NXT Roundup with Glenn and Pierce,
Yep.
and the Funkin' Kingpin
Kingpin
show
show.
with Pierce. With with Angel and Alan
Alan
Funk,
and
Alan Kwee Funk.
Brad
Oh
Owens.
yeah, sorry. How can I forget about
Super
Brad
intern Brad Owens.
with his awesome mohawk? But yeah, guys, make sure if y'all haven't already, make sure y'all check us out. Like, subscribe, follow, give us some bits, hook
Some
us up, man.
feedback, man.
Oh yeah, also on if you're watching us on
Wrestling with sports.
if you're watching us on YouTube, you can also watch us on Twitch, twitch.tv/MWA World. Yeah.
All
So,
right.
you know,
Without
on
further
that
ado,
note,
I see him backstage playing with his beard. Let's get him in here. I'm so jealous. I'm jealous, man. I need that beard.
Look at that. Yeah, look at that.
Need
It's
that
not even
beard.
as long as I want it to be yet.
Hey, man,
that,
that's a good looking beard, bro.
that's a
Thank
sweet
you.
beard, bro.
I try.
Sweet
Hey,
beard.
ladies and gentlemen, this is Joker, Northeast legend. Strong
Oh man, I don't know
style.
about that.
Hey,
I don't
man,
know about that.
you're up there, man. Strong style Dugs, man.
Yeah, I don't know about legend though,
The
but
strong style thugs. What's going on, man? How you been?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Busy with work and all that shit,
Yeah,
regular life
Damn.
you
type
know how
shit.
it is.
But
Trust me. Definitely know how that is. So what's new with you, man? Besides work and all that, how's the baby? Well, she's a
oh,
big
she's
girl
great.
now. She's a big girl now.
Yeah, I know. She'll be like within 9 days. She'll be 8. I'll be 38 because we do share a birthday. She robbed me of that on my
Oh
30th.
wow.
Oh
So
wow,
yeah,
that's
and then
crazy.
she was born early too. Like I wasn't expecting it, not expecting it, and then it happened. So I mean, she's probably the only right and best thing that me and her mom, my ex-wife at the time, did. So
Right? Yeah, that's how it is.
Props, man.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. So what's going on with you besides what's new? What's new in Philly? What's going on in Philly scene?
uh, let's see. The COVID shit still. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
nothing too dampering, you know what I mean? Just besides wearing masks and business, all that shit. I guess everybody's still waiting to see this bullshit infrastructure bill, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
other than that, everything else is cool.
All right, all right. Let me ask you a question because I guess Chung, you came out to the doghouse and wrestled before, right?
Yeah, a couple times.
Couple times when we were running, and I have no memory of that. I guess because you guys were so young back then. Like when the first time I remember meeting you was at WXW when it was you and Sabian and just Black G's and the other guy came and was chilling. And that's when I remember meeting you. And you guys like, I know you from the doghouse. I was like, oh, I know, but Chung knew you guys. Chung knew you guys, and I think Chung wrestled in Philly with you guys too.
Yeah, I was working for DIW at the time. And
DIW, yeah,
yeah,
that was what I couldn't remember what the fuck
yeah.
that fed was
The
called.
the promoter at the time wanted us. I don't know how he reached. Know what it was? Danny DeMonto came down to work. It was Danny, this one other dude, and fucking.
What the kid, Justice Cage or whatever his name
I
was.
think. I
It
would
Justin
have.
might have
Cage,
been Justin Cage.
Justin Cage.
I got to
Yeah.
see his face and shit. But then they would come down a lot. So then they're I guess they're talking to JT at the time. And he wanted me and Nell to work with LowRyda and Derange at the time.
Mhm.
So it was a decent fit. Or no, it wasn't me and Nell. It was me and my tag partner at the time, Carnage. So first time we went to the doghouse, we drove up. The first time we went, he couldn't find the place. So that was a shit show of a fucking trip. Second time we get there, I end up working that kid Phenom. Big ass Poppy dude. Worked him for the first time.
Oh,
Second
yeah,
time. Yep.
I know who it is.
Yep.
Who the fuck was
Second time.
Phenom?
He was like
The
Spanish
fuck?
looking kid.
Yes.
He wore fatigues.
No, he didn't wear fatigues at the time. I don't remember fatigues. I think the only one that ever wore fatigues was fucking Low Life Louie and Amanda Violent. And
So,
that was when they were together at the time.
You know Phenom because that was the one. That was the one
fuck
that
is Phenom?
that was the one with Lathan.
That dude.
So that happened probably after the fuck, you know what I mean? But then after that, I go back up and I end up working with. It was me and Carnage against this big African motherfucker, and then somebody I can't think of the second person. It was a tag match. I remember Carnage did a dive over the top rope, a plancha. I remember it was a no plancha, no suicide dive rule at the doghouse, and he did it anyway. He just got excited and shit and did it. It was like a no dive. I remember someone said something to us, but like afterwards, like there was no diving or some bullshit, but it was whatever. But those are the only two times that I've been up there. The first time, like I said, with Phenom, and I cracked my eyebrow open because I did a splash in the corner. He moved. And I ended up hitting the butt, like the actual metal buckle part that connects the buckle to the fucking post. I hit my eye on that, cracked my eye open. So it wasn't too bad. I remember the owner of the building, like fucking old Jewish guy, whatever. fucking asked me how I was doing. I was like, I was fine. So I remember it was like a no blood type thing in New York or whatever, and I was like,
they were super paranoid
yeah,
at certain times and shit about doing stuff.
Yeah, because you came from the outside, so they didn't want to get sued.
Yeah, and then I remember that night seeing Homicide. I remember he drank a whole bottle, 151 Bacardi, got fucked up. And remember the ring announcer you guys had, little fat dude and shit that would talk shit at the same time?
Yeah.
I remember D grabbed him, threw him in the ring, and stapled his fucking head with a staple gun with his fucking hoodie to his head and shit.
Was that Candy?
I think so.
I think he was fucked up. That was my first encounter with Homicide. I was just like, what the fuck?
So I remember wrestling Reefer. It was me and Reefer in a singles match at Homicide's at ringside with me. And what was that shit called? 100 bananas or 99 bananas?
99 bananas and some shit.
So he's drinking this thing, right? And I'm in the corner and I'm selling, and like he goes here, and I took a sip. I was like, Jesus Christ. And then so I got Reefer. I'm beating Reefer down, and I grabbed the ref and move, and he grabs Reefer and just pours it in Reefer's mouth. Reefer almost died. He almost killed Reefer.
Yeah, man.
We used to do some crazy shit at the doghouse, man.
Yeah,
that place was the shit though. That was a live spot. I loved it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. It was cool as fuck, man, because we pretty much like, we were, whenever we ain't have any bookings, it was like you can go and pretty much do whatever the fuck you wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like you can try anything. There was always a decent crowd. It may have, there was times that it was like fucking jam packed, but there was a lot of times, you had fucking 40, 50 people there, which was good, just to get
stuff,
try stuff out and see, today I feel like doing some heel shit, and you go out and heal the crowd, fucking work some spots and see how they worked out,
So much talent came through that building.
Yeah, the one thing I loved about that place was the fact that the cohesion in the locker room, like I've never seen it before. And I was like, I think I might have been just 17, 18 at the time, but the cohesion of the locker room. And then it's like everyone was there hustling to be a fucking pro wrestler. Nobody was cock diesel. Not everyone was white and big. Like, you know what I mean? The stereotypical WWE, like what they want type shit. You know what I mean? And everybody was there and brought their shit to the fucking table and everybody delivered. And that's the one thing I loved about that place. Period. There's no other place that I've ever been to that had the same shit. Like the only other place right now that actually captivated me is the Monster Factory. Like I had to work out the Monster Factory maybe a few weeks back because Missy Sampson is like a sister to me, runs her training, and watching how like the structure of it, it was like, wow, it's like a legit like school, you know what I mean? And everybody there was hungry as fuck to try to get into the business. They'll do whatever. They train, they work out, they do nonstop calisthenics, they get in the ring, they do their thing, and they all have the drive to want to do it. And not many places you even see that anymore. And then I guess now after COVID, you're starting to kind of see it. Like O-Dog has his gym, Super Crazy out in Florida. Not Florida, I'm sorry. Jersey, like in Deptford, New Jersey, I guess where CZW used to be, like when the John era. I haven't had the pleasure to get there yet. Hopefully soon.
Who has a school there?
Who?
Who you said has a school?
O-Dog.
Yeah, I remember O-Dog. Yeah,
he has a Super Crazy. It's right in Deptford, right in like the Westville.
That's the name of the school, Super Crazy?
Yep. Okay. I guess it's promotion too. And I go back with O-Dog like way back. I think my first professional match was with him.
Yeah, I remember him in JP.
Yeah, he was a JP champion at one time.
Who was the kid he used to team with?
Was it
Flash Wheeler?
Flash Wheeler, yep.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, man. That was a good tag team too, man. Him and Flash were a very good tag team.
Yeah, but O-Dog has his thing. Then you got Matt Tremont has H2O and another part of Southern New Jersey. Then you have the Monster Factory.
I never met Matt Tremont, but I hear nothing but good things about him.
Oh no, he's humble as shit.
He's a very nice guy.
He came up with the same guys that I came up with. And we're talking about like 90, 98, 99, even 2000 time frame. Like, the Philly indie scene. Like you had your Ron Stars and all them. That's where Matt came from. He came from that. So he's like one of the most humble motherfuckers like you ever meet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then knowing that his persona is so larger than life, like meeting him, dude is humble as shit. And he's one of the dudes that's legitimate to where he'll never forget your fucking name.
That's awesome.
Period.
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah, I know Stockade talks super high of him.
Yeah, he's a solid dude. Like I said, working with him and talking with him, because I mean that's like my first show back. Is we're in like negotiations now, but it's not even really negotiations. It's the fact of the availability that I have, especially my new work schedule,
So
and then I want to work for him.
It's all the logistics too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That out. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I hear nothing but good things about the dude. So you just said that you're working on a deal right now, so that means you're not retired, huh?
No.
When's the last time?
Never.
When's the last time
Never.
you never retire? I got to die before I retire.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been doing this shit since I was 15 years old. You know what I mean? And like I've said time and time again, is what kept me off the streets, because I easily where the area I grew up in was like Kensington, North Philadelphia, right? And I was like the first non-Irish family to move into an all-Irish neighborhood. So of course, having to grow up with that bullshit, being picked on, bullied and shit, then first family that moved from the Badlands over to my section and shit. Like I grew up with them, and then we're the only, like I'm both Puerto Rican and Cambodian, so they're strictly Puerto Rican. So we automatically just gravitated towards each other. You know what I mean? Right. Fighting off all the bullshit, getting into fights, here and there with all the Irish guys and shit. Because you grew up with the racist shit. Like I didn't know shit. I was called gook, spick, all sorts of shit. And but
I tell you, man, racism is
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's a damn motherfucker.
It's like, dude, I would say some crazy shit now. People just the jaws drop, and I'm just like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? It is what it is. But I don't try to say it in a malice way. It's just my humor. But it was like growing up in that, and then the drug game was big. I remember almost getting my own corner with my best friend at the time, and the one thing that saved me from doing it was wrestling. That was it. 6 days a week, training nonstop. And I remember the first day when I realized, because I remember spending 3 months on just bumping, only bumping. Finally going into the other shit, like running the ropes. I remember getting the bruise on my back. But I remember going into, now you're going into the technical field of it and finding out what it was all about. It broke my heart. I was just like, what the fuck? I was like, wait, what? And then, so
what's up, brother?
I had to take a deep, hard, look at myself to be like, all right, do I want to continue on? And luckily I did. And then I just, like I said, I just busted my ass nonstop, tried to go as many places as I can to learn from so many people. I remember meeting Ruckus way early on, because he came from Maryland
you used to like Baltimore, right?
Yeah. They came to want to rent the ring, because the gym that I belong to, they would rent their ring out, and they have their own federation, PWA. And he came down. I guess they wanted to rent the cage, matter of fact, the cage. And that's when I first met him. I remember we're talking about 450s, like how the fuck you do it? Because I've never seen a motherfucker his size do the shit he did.
Because remember, he was fat.
Ruckus used to do all kinds of shit.
Ruckus was very heavy back then too.
He was a cannonball with legs. You know what I mean? And he fucking ran up walls, flipping his shit.
Dude, I remember watching him run up a wall and do a backflip. I'm like, holy shit.
Exactly.
And so where was it that you started your training?
It was a small garage gym out in Port Richmond. It's I can't think of I drive by it often and I see it, but it was I remember in grade school, by the time I hit the 8th grade, I was real big into the Attitude Era. Stone Cold was my fucking hero. And then of course you had the Monday Night Wars, so I'll go back and forth. And my best friend at the time was big into WCW, so we'd always go into talking shit back and forth and whatnot. Who's better, whatever. And I get introduced to ECW, and I remember going into the basement. I remember it used to come on at midnight, middle of the week, midnight. I would go down to the basement, turn it on and watch it. And then I would put a sheet over it so it would actually dim down the light and shit. So my father, I could hear him wake up, go take a leak and come back. And once in a while, he'll stop in front of my door. So then I got smart, went down to the basement to do it. And that's when I was just blown away. You know what I mean? With wrestling, it was just something new. And the first match I saw was Rob Van Dam, Bam Bam Bigelow for that TV title. And that shit was fire. Even to this day, I watch it once in a while on YouTube. And I wanted to just be a wrestler. That's it. And my main goal was to wrestle for ECW. So I remember baseball practice one year. And matter of fact, it was my 8th grade year. And I remember hearing like, you know, a wrestling ring noise, you know what I mean? Like slamming and shit like that. And it was right next to like, you know, our batting cage. And I remember they raised the garage door, but you could see the ring. Like you could see just enough where they lifted it up. And I could see the bottom rope, the ring, and I could see boots and shin, people in the ring. And right away I knew that was a wrestling school. So my best friend at the time, he was 19. We both went, and you know, he lied, said he was my cousin. So he got me in saying I was 16. I was 15 at the time. So from then on, $50 a month and train like fucking 6 days a week, nonstop.
That's not bad at all.
Nah.
It's a great deal.
Especially at that time. Because at that time, remember, this was PWA, and it was right after GWA in Philly. Like that was like another like known indie at that time period. I remember they would run at a spot right off of Broad Street, the Blue Horizon. It was like their main, like the GWA's main thing. O-Dog was one of the staples there. Mercury was a guy that I trained under for a little bit. What's his name? Can't think of his name. Hispanic dude. Can't think of it. Atlas. I think it was Atlas. He was one of the main guys, but then PWA kind of broke off from them and did their thing. And I didn't understand the shit at the time, and I still don't even understand it now. But you know, at least it was a place that I trained until they actually closed, and I went to Hard Rock Hamilton's gym, which was, you know, it became BIW, and then was there for a little bit until I started hanging out with guys and working for WWC out in Vineland, New Jersey, Carlos Colon's spot. And from there is where we got linked up with CZW, training at their gym for a while until, you know, we end up being the mainstay there.
Yeah. And when did you meet G's?
G's was at the gym in Port Richmond. Like he worked for a company. He worked for Damon Feldman, and Damon Feldman was known. He still runs like celebrity boxing and all that bullshit to this day. Like he still does that. Like like Conseco and shit boxing and the goofy shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he did wrestling too. And there was a nightclub right on Delaware Ave, Columbus Boulevard. Was it called? It's old as shit. It's right next to Penn Treaty. But I remember being there, and he would run wrestling shows, and they would put all these green motherfuckers in a battle royal. And these motherfuckers were running spots in the middle of a 30-man battle royal, what it seemed like. And
gotta get my shit in.
Exactly. So every Sunday, at some point, these guys would come to our gym and train. So we would actually work with them. A lot of them were never trained at all, like at all. So G's was the most athletic one out of the group, period. And I went with a friend of mine. It was me and my boy Eric. And we went with our late friend Hunk Heiser, and he was going to WXW at the time. And he wanted to drop off, you know, back in the day, 8x10s was like the big thing, right? Giving a fuck for 8x10 and all this other shit.
You put your information on the back.
Yes. So we take this long ass drive to Hazleton, right? And it was on a Saturday, and we get to the spot, and the show happened Friday, not Saturday. So he left his shit with the owner of the building, who the owner of the building probably just fucking threw it the fuck away anyway, and we drive back. So we go to a laundromat where my instructor at the time was Tony Nitro, and he was running this laundromat. So we go in there, and we have this weird impromptu meeting at like 2 a.m, talking about like how we're gonna phase everybody out, right? So that's when we had the decision to keep G's and like a handful of people, and G's was the only one that stayed, period. And everyone else, they phased out on their own. You know what I mean? They were great guys, don't get me wrong, great guys and shit. But I guess they had other priorities at hand, like work, family, and whatnot. But G's was like one of the ones that really wanted to do it. And then we just stuck together ever since. And I'm talking about, I was like maybe 16, 17 at the time. So I've known him since then. I'm fucking about to be 38 now. You know what
Let
I
me
mean?
ask you a question. How old is this dude? Because I just
Dude,
heard like
geez.
how old is he?
Dude,
Because
I
I remember
can't.
talking to him one day and he's telling me his daughter was 18. I'm like, bro, how the hell? And then
Yo,
now he's a grandfather, I think, right?
yo, he is, and
Yeah.
I'm the godfather to his daughter, and I still can't tell you a definite number. I know he's in his 40s, but I can't tell you.
That's amazing, man. Because when I met you, right? I met you, and you guys, and I told this to Pierce the other day. He goes, oh man, when you got off the interview with Pierce, and I'm
Yeah.
talking about when I met you guys, right? I said, man, these guys, like, I remember them these kids, man, meeting these kids for the first time, and he goes, oh, that's fucked up. You call them a kid? I go, I mean, to me, they were kids coming up because they were like chunks. You were like my brother's age.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, to me, they were kids coming up, and and I liked them because they were so respectful and stuff. And he goes, I said, then all of a sudden I said, Bill leaves to the military. He comes back and he's like fucking like huge. He's like my size now, and I'm like, damn, he went from looking like chunk because you guys were all like small.
Yeah,
And then all
exactly.
of a sudden, you came back from overseas. You were like huge. I was like, oh shit.
By the way, if y'all haven't checked out yet, Joker was on Shooting the Shit Uncensored with Pierce, and that was a good interview also. So make sure y'all check that out if y'all haven't yet.
I wish it was longer. I wish it was longer, but then I had to go into court and shit. But not
nah, it's all good, bro.
But I'm hoping to do part 2 because it was like probably one of the best interviews I've done because it wasn't like the typical shit like where people so like I've done shooting interviews and I've done podcasts and things like that, and it's like this was like a little different. Like the dynamic was different.
Pierce runs a good fucking shit.
Exactly. Like right now we're just shooting shit, you know what I mean? But it was like the questions that was asked, even from you, Boogaloo, it was like it made it different, more intimate, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like more in depth instead of the whole cliche. Like, all right, your favorite wrestler, when did you start? And all, the
typical bullshit.
Exactly. And then you sit there and you're like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I'm a grown ass adult. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's other shit I probably want to talk about or get off my chest or whatever. But it was good. It was good. I can't wait to do part 2.
Yeah, it was cool because you went into the military stuff, and I've never as long as I've known you, I never really talked to you about it because some people don't like talking about it. And you were fresh when you came back. You were fresher coming back from overseas, so I know people don't like really like going into it, but you opened up, and I was like, wow.
It took me a while to finally open up because it was like I still deal with shit now, so it's like it took some like really soul searching, like talking with other veterans that I know, especially at work, and it just allowed me to see that I wasn't the only one dealing with this shit. You know what I mean? Like I remember like the terms when we brought back, it was like I was afraid that what I was feeling at the time, that if I brought it up, that it would stop me from like carrying a gun, using a gun, or prohibit me being a cop or a U.S. Marshal, whatever. And I just swallowed it all, and I kept it in until my second deployment came, and it was like afterwards, it was like the things that I was going through, I realized other people go through the same thing, some more and some less. And I just felt more released once I talked about it with other people. We, like all the guys I deployed with in the second time, we all came from different phases of the war. Like my buddy Drew, who stays with me often, and he's a military contractor. Like we're brothers, and he jumped into Iraq, and he was only like 18 at the time. I went in like the third part of it, so the third phase of an OIF-3. So it was still like the Wild West at the time, and the other guys I met were there during the Ramadi era and times after that, and then Mosul. So we all had combat experience, all of us sergeants. So able to kind of talk and relate to a lot of circumstances. It just allowed me to give me the tools I needed to discuss it more with certain people. And the problem in the beginning was I didn't think people would understand me because I was in such a dark place when I came back the first time. Like I wanted nothing to do with regular life at all. Like I tried the drinking thing. I fucked around like crazy, and then I went into the weed smoking, and then realized like weed doesn't work for me at all. So it got me into the whole like paranoia and shit, and really fucked with my head, because then I realized I'm not a person that I don't like to not be in control, period.
Right.
So once I had my daughter, that's when I had to like really like come to terms with like my demons and shit. So the main thing for me was I could never relax enough to sleep. Like I could fall asleep, but then I can't stay asleep. I always want to stay alert, just in case something were to happen, like bang, just like that. And that's how we had to be overseas a lot. Like shit happens, we'll go to sleep or whatever, playing Halo tournaments, whatnot. And once we get that call, we're up and running and doing our shit. You know what I mean? The only time you could actually like decompress is when everything's done. Gear is set for the next mission, and then you did your round count and shit, and then your PCCs, PCIs, and prepping everything for the next mission and getting your debrief, and then you're cool to chill. You know what I mean? And then still, moment's notice, bang, something else happens, and you're back out again. From 0 to 100.
Right.
So once I had my daughter, it was like now going to the VA, which I didn't want to do. Talking with them, and they tried to prescribe me Ambien, which to me, I kept asking, I was like, look, I don't want to be groggy, because my daughter cries. I want to be up and then tend to her. So I was only taking halves or whatnot. Then after a while, I said, fuck, I'm not taking it anymore. Over time, it fucked me up. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't getting the REM sleep I needed. So as in the last year, I started doing sleep studies and shit, and it wasn't a sleep apnea issue. It was more or less like my brain doesn't want to turn the fuck off. Like I stay like wired throughout my sleep, like wide awake. Like I don't remember dreams at all. You know what I mean? So now I'm on like, a sleep medication, which pretty much helps me. Like I take it as needed. Prior to my, divorce, I was at a point where I was drinking at least 3 doubles of Jameson and ginger ale a fucking night just to relax in my own house.
Wow.
Because the person I was with at the time, I fucking hated. You know what I mean? Like hated, because she was like the embodiment of everything I hate about regular people. And, I wasn't expecting her to understand where I'm coming from, but at least respect like my needs. You know what I mean? And there were times I would come back from work and I had no time to decompress. It's like I, got done like a full 8-hour or 16-hour day or whatnot. And then I come home and it's like, I have to snap back into being a husband and a father, like, or just at the time, a husband, and pretty much ignore all my shit and tend to her bullshit. You know what I mean? So that took a toll, because I'm the type of dude, like, I stay quiet. I keep to myself, which I'm learning not to be anymore with, the girlfriend that I'm with now. So that put like a huge toll on me as well, because I started becoming detached from things, like things that I liked, even wrestling, MMA, jiu-jitsu, like things like that. I start just kind of pulling away from, and I start going into like my own internal downward spiral, and then deep depression. So, I mean, suicidal thoughts have I had? Yes, I had. You know what I mean? And I internalized a lot of shit, which I've learned over time, not being able to talk about my issues made it a lot worse. So now that I've talked to other guys, like I said earlier before, with work, like at work, like I realize I'm not the only one. So it's easy for me to talk about like my experiences and the things that I go through now. And then another thing that helps me is I listen to like a lot of audio, like Audible books. So I listen to a lot of like war,
too, man.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like listening to like, there were guys just like me, made it through, Dev Group, SEAL Team 6, or they made it to CAG, which is Delta Force, and seeing like their journey from the beginning to the end, and then seeing how they coped with everything at the very end, and realizing it's just like me on a lot of levels. You know what I mean? Like leaving that type of environment and atmosphere, and then you coming into now, you're at like a 0. Instead of being at 100 at one point, now I'm expected to be a 0, which is so fucking hard to kind of like to kind of stomach and to consume. And it's just a matter of losing that sense of purpose, and luckily for me, it's like, not only is it my daughter, not only is it my girlfriend, but it's also with work. Like, I had to find something at work to kind of keep me at the level I want to be. And that's why I became like, I joined the CERT team, became the CERT team, CERT commander right now. And then I'm also an Eastern Regional CERT instructor. So that's helped me cope with a lot of things that gave me that sense of task and purpose that I was missing for a long time.
Right. It's because because that line of work is paramilitary, so you do have a little. It is structured, So yeah, I can see where you would, because I mean, yeah, we do the same thing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and my wife didn't understand that. Like you said, like it would be like we would go out. It would be like what day was that? It was like a Tuesday. It was like a weird day of the week. It would be like a Tuesday, and we would go to the spot, and like everybody from our squad would go to the spot to do like trivia night and stuff. And she's like, "Well, you with them all day at work?" I go, "No, we're not always together at work. We're
Yeah.
in this unit, they're in that unit, blah blah blah. But if I need them, they're gonna be there. And if something goes down, we're responsible for each other's lives. We're making sure that we all coming home. I mean,
Exactly.
if you could give them a couple hours out of your night, what's the big deal?"
Exactly. Like with me at work, it's like, now I went to the more administrative realm, which, at first, taking the white shirt, I was at the security department. I enjoyed the gangs and all that stuff and the drugs. And then I had to make a choice because they wanted me to be in security full time. So it was like, look, either security 24/7 or CERT. It couldn't be both. And it was kind of odd because a lot of the CERT team leaders throughout the state are security lieutenants, right? Or even security captains. So I understood at the time. I was still like young, but I understood why I had to make that choice because I would be deployed a lot. So I decided to stay with my team because my team was what keeps me sane pretty much with work, gives me that task and purpose.
Right.
So after that happened, I ended up being, regular shift lieutenant. So now I do the rosters. I'm also an acting shift commander. So I end up being, the fucking captain running the jail half the time. So with the administrative portion, like I've learned more like how to like deal with different realms of people. Like it's not, I don't really hate anybody. Like if I hate you, like I want you dead. You know what I mean? If I hate you, I hate work ethic. Like the biggest thing to me is work ethic. And if a motherfucker doesn't have work ethic, you're no use to me at all. We can't even be friends because I can't fucking rely on you. You know what I mean? Like just, hypothetically, you got to be a motherfucker. If I got to bury a fucking body, you're going to ask me where and whose car we're using. That's it. So all you got to fucking, you know what I mean? And that's all I'm going to ask you, where and whose car we're using. That's it. But it's, with work, it's like, learning how to lead people, how to supervise, how to train, how to, bring people up or whatnot. But at the same time, it's like I said earlier, it gives me, a sense of task and purpose. But when you leave that, you have the days where it's like a boring day, nothing happens, right? The best day is a boring day. And then you get them chaotic ass fucking days, right? You might have, an inmate suicide, a fucking stabbing, even a fucking rape or a fucking gang fight or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then all this shit happens. And it's weird because, with our line of work, you come home, you're so desensitized to the jail stories, right? And you tell people and they start fucking like looking at you like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And then you just sit at a typical day of work, but they're looking at you like, and I always say to inmates, even at work sometimes, I'm like, look, before you do anything stupid, just know this. You are one step from being a good story at a bar away. Just one fucking good story. You know what I mean? And then they look at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? Trust me, you're going to be a good story. But needing to go home and you got to decompress, you know what I mean? Like people don't understand that because in a fucked up way, I like working in chaos. To me, when it's like complete fucking chaos, I'm at my most calmest of calm. Like I sit, I analyze, I know what needs to fucking happen, and I let chaos go because at that time, I'm not in any control of the chaos. I'm just the type of it is what it is mentality. And it's just, I'm in control of my well-being and whatever I can control and protecting everybody else. But other than that, I'm at my most calm during chaos. You know what I mean? What drives me crazy is all the other dickheads that I'm expecting to be calm are running around like the fucking head's been chopped off.
Right.
That's fucking.
Which way did they go?
Yeah.
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
Yeah. They had a thing
Yeah,
where,
like-
like, they had a thing where somebody used to do is like, you're a field training officer and you're training somebody, and they slip up. They will make you write a letter to, hey, write a letter to my family. That reason because you messed up. That's the reason why I just got killed. And then they're like, what? I said, make sure you write that letter to my family. I know a couple people that have done that. That made people write that letter.
Shit, we've never done no shit like that, but I'm taking that one. Never done no shit like that.
How does it go? He can tell you the best because he's the FTO.
I had a trainee that was fucking like we're doing a walk, he fucking bounced. He just kept walking. I'm talking to an inmate, he just keeps it moving, and I'm like, where the fuck is this dude?
Yeah,
So I look up. He's 2 pods away from me. I'm like, what the fuck? So I get there afterwards. I kick the corporal out of the office just because I didn't want to talk to him in front of the corporal and make him feel bad, you know. So kick the corporal out and I tell him, I'm like, hey man, don't do that shit again. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna tell you this is the one and only pass you getting. Don't do this shit again. So next day, we were working a weekend. Next day, he does the same shit again. I was like, this motherfucker, man. So I fucking pull him to the side and I'm like, listen, man. I start writing. I write down my brother's name, write down my nephew's name, write down my wife's name, my dad, my mom, everybody. And I'm like, hey, here goes this list, bro. So he's like, what's this for? I'm like, I want you, when we come back to work on, I think, so it's like Sunday. I'm like, hey, when we come back to work on Wednesday, I want a letter written to my family explaining how you let me die, man. So he's like, say what? I'm like, yo, you just left me behind, right? You don't know what the fuck happened to me. I could be fucking dead. You were just walking along, fucking whistling, saying whatever, right? You ain't know where I was. I had to call you and tell you come back. He's like, okay. Oh, yes, sir. Fucking come in on Wednesday. I ain't see the motherfucker. So I'm like, his wife was pregnant. So I'm thinking like, yo, he probably, maybe something happened.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is, right? Thursday comes, he ain't there. I'm just walking down the hallway going to go get something. Fucking lieutenant and 2 sergeants call me into the office. Like, hey, y'all, let's step in. I'm like, what's up? Hey, what happened with you and this kid? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, he just came in and said this is too stressful for him. He can't do it. I'm like, well, he's a pussy.
better now than later.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I told him straight up, I was like, hey man, he's a pussy, man. Like, he was scared of the inmates, you know, he just wasn't for it. And then it's like 10 minutes, like a couple minutes later, I'm like, oh shit, I did tell that motherfucker to come in with a letter for my family. And my one sergeant was like, yo, I love that shit. He's like, that shit is legit. Because I told him, I was like, yo, my man bounced on me twice. They were like, oh, okay, yeah, well, hey. They were like, well, hey, he wasn't cut out for this shit. Peace. See you.
There you go.
But yeah, it's definitely, man, you want to go home the same way you come in, right?
Exactly.
And our responsibility is to make sure you go home the way you came in, and I go home the way I came in. Man. It's just the way it is.
But yeah, man.
But speaking on this, Bill, I gotta have you give me 2 stories. I want you to tell me one of your funniest wrestling stories, and then I want you to tell me a funny jail story.
Oh man, I got a good jail one. I got a real good one.
Go ahead.
Let's go to my funny wrestling story. Damn. I got one. Probably I forgot how long ago it was. I ended up working with the Maximos, right? It was like that La Guerra. It was in Corona, Queens. They had Chicky Star, Savio, a bunch of people from what was that IWC Puerto Rico, and it was me and Chicky Star. No, who was it? It was I forgot who I tagged with. It was against Angel and Santana and shit. EYFOB.
Okay.
It was the first time ever working with these kids too, and I remember, fucking Santana at the end was like, "Look," and the weird thing to me was like realizing how old I was and shit compared to him. I remember him saying to me, "It was like, look." Is I just want to say thank you so much. I grew up watching your videos, and I'm like,
he did
what?
that shit to me too, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, what? I was like, oh, all right, thanks. You know what I mean? Cool, humble kid, both of them.
Nice,
right? Love the guys to death.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, love them to death. So we work a match. I think it was me. I can't think who it was against the Chicky Star and them two, right? And it was, it was decent. Fucking chemistry, right? And then at the end, like this came out of nowhere on the fly. Fucking, it was Savio, me, it was me, Bestia, and fucking Damien 666 against Chicky Star and them. Okay. So first time meeting Damien and fucking Bestia, right? And then after that, we became very close. So awesome. At the end, out of nowhere, fucking impromptu match. It was me, Damien, Bestia, Blue Demon, Savio, and a bunch of other motherfuckers. And I'm the only dickhead that can't speak Spanish. So they're calling this shit. I'm just standing there. And I tell you what, Blue Demon has the most mesmerizing blue fucking eyes I've ever seen. Hypnotizing. So they're calling this shit, and he's staring at me, and he's like, you understand? I was like, no. Someone's got to translate this shit. So Savio goes over and Demon comes over and they break it down to me, right? I was like, all right. And then Bestia helped me out too. So we get out there and it was everything on the fly. Literally, I didn't call shit. We just went, we did our shit, right? So we worked. At the end, mad love. It was fucking fun. I remember going in the shower and I go to the back and at one point it was me, Savio, and fucking Chicky Star standing there, butt fucking naked, shit hanging, just basically like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And I was like, all of us waiting for a fucking shower to open, standing there with our dicks in our hand, literally staring at each other. You know what I mean? I was like, what? When would I have thought I'd be in this position where I'm standing in the presence of Chicky fucking Star, butt fucking naked, and Savio fucking Vega in the same fucking shower, just waiting for an open shower.
That's funny.
So that's the funniest one that I would have to date to me in wrestling. But then the funniest fucking jail story, Jesus Christ. It was a time a midget bit me. So bear with me with this one, right? All right. So I was an RHU lieutenant, right? The whole restricted housing. So it was on a Sunday, right? It was a Sunday. It was the day before we had a large yard incident. Like inmates didn't want to come in from the yard, right? So we locked all them up, whatever. So this is Sunday. And I normally have my crew. I have a certain crew of guys that I've handpicked to work with me, right? I have a great sergeant and a bunch of great CO1s, right? So we had this inmate. His name is Gomez. And first time I ever met this motherfucker, I remember I was working night shift. And that's where I met my girlfriend now. And she was the RN at night shift. So I remember I would have to go down to the infirmary to see like dry cell guys or, suicide guys in a psychiatric observation cell. So I would go down there. I remember them telling me this fucking inmate would stay awake all night fucking with them and he'll do naked jumping jacks in his cell. So I'm like, who? And then they point at his cell. It's like 8 cell, right? So in the infirmary, it's not a mirrored window at all. Like they could see and we could see them. Right? Yeah. So I'm like, all right. They tell me all about him. Like he harasses them, all this shit. I was like, all right, let me go see who he is. Right. So I walk over to the cell. So he comes up to the door. I was like, what's going on? And he's like, hey, what's up? I was like, yeah, I'm Lieutenant Pasal, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, he introduces himself. I was like, all right, cool. Do me a favor. Can you stand up for me? And he looked at me all perplexed and shit. Like, what? I was like, yeah, can you stand up for me? Then he steps back, and I'm like, oh shit. I was like, my fault. The fucking it was a dwarf. Because he looked normal size, up top.
Right.
So I thought he was on his knees fucking with me. So I'm like, you know what I mean? Stand up. So that was my first encounter with him. So he's in and out of the whole mental health case guy, whatever. And he has like a row of teeth, like that's jagged, the one side, like fucking jagged. So he was in a super wicked cell, and he covered up his windows. And when we do random cell searches and shit, like safety securities, we take shit they ain't supposed to have. And he had melatonin. So we took the melatonin out, put it back in his property. So he starts spazzing out about not having his melatonin and all this other shit, right? So he starts covering up his window, which is a no-no. Right. So I'm in the bubble.
But how did he get it high enough that you couldn't see over it?
I don't know how to fucking get it, but he got it high. But I got one of my guys waving me down on the floor. I'm looking at him. I'm like, what the fuck? And this is the time where I had my full squad down there and plus 2 extra bodies, right? That they were passing by. They were assisting us with inmate property. So I'm like, what the fuck's going on down there? So me and my sergeant, we start walking towards the cell. I'm like, yo, he's got his window cover up and he's not responding. So I go to the window. I go to the door, and I'm like, Gomez. I was like, Gomez. Posada. It's like, Gomez. No response, right? And then my one guy said, look, he heard like gurgling, whatever. We had a big thing with suicide. Right. Right away, I'm right in front, and I got my fucking squad with me. It was 7 guys. So I waved the bubble. I was like, yo, pop the door. They popped the door. I step in, like literally, like 1 step in, and my boy Straw is right next to me. He's a regular CO1, a black dude, right? And just like 2.5 to 3 feet away from us, this motherfucker. Now, I'm going to give you a visual what he looks like. Remember the TV show Little Monsters? You had the little fat, hairy one that would hold his eyeballs like this?
Yeah.
His body's built like that. I'm not exaggerating. No bullshit, right? And he has like these like pock marks in his face, right? So he's about maybe 2.5, 3 feet away from us, right? And we pop the door. I step in. My boy Straw's right next to me. The whole squad's behind me. And he looks at us. And he's like, and he cocks up like this. He's like, yo, motherfuckers want to come to my cell. And I'm staring. I'm like, what the fuck? And right away, he starts lunging at the officer to my left, swinging at him. So I'm like, holy shit. So I grab, all I could grab is a handful of curly hair in his fucking ears. And I pull him right into me. And I was going to guillotine choke this motherfucker to the next life. So once I got him hooked, and it's all I could grab. I wasn't going for no fucking double leg. By the time if I went to go double leg, he's so sure I would have to like dive on the fucking floor of my stomach. So I get him, and I feel his teeth right on my left wrist. And right away, I was like, he fucking bit me. And I pull my hand out. They get him onto the floor. And I grab the back of his neck like a fucking alligator. My boy Straw has his one hand cuffed, and normally Gomez is so wide, you have to double cuff him behind. So he has one hand cuffed. He's trying to get the other one. At this time, as I'm holding him, he's biting my other boy in the fucking heel, like biting the shin. His Achilles tendon in the heel, and all he does is he's fucking biting me. So he starts fucking hitting him to get him the fuck off, and I'm holding his head like controlling his head. He's just popping him to get him off. He gets off. So I grabbed the other hand and I yanked the shit out of it. And I thought I broke this motherfucker's arm. Like it felt like a baby arm at this point, like all like floppy. I cuff him, right? Put him in recovery position. Back up. I'm like, Gomez, bring your knees to your chest. I'm like, Gomez, bring your knees to your fucking chest. And he just goes, I can't. I'm not built like regular people. And right away, I'm like, fuck. I'm like, so I grab it. Normally, as a lieutenant, I'm a supervisor. So I grab his shoulders and I sit him up and I prop him against my knee. And then I'm like, all right. So now I'm like in a weird position and I can smell OC. And I'm like, when the fuck did he get sprayed? So we boost him up. He starts talking shit now, saying he was going to sue, whatever. So I lay him on the fucking bed, face first, right? I'm like, all right, let me go make a phone call. So I called the captain, let her know what happened, right? She's like, all right, look, make sure I get all the 121s and go see medical. I was like, all right, I'll give you a sit rep when I get there. So my boy gets the camcorder. He's like, look, everyone shut the fuck up. I got the camcorder now. We're videotaping, right? So we take him to medical. We get him to medical. He sits in a chair, right? And this motherfucker, I swear to God, he's femur, ankles, and feet, no knees. Like that's the way he's built. I've never seen him bend his legs before. So he's sitting on the edge of a plastic fucking chair. He can't sit on it. He sits on the edge. and his feet go like this, start turning inwards towards each other, right? So the nurse is wiping him down, talking like he's a baby. He starts crying to her and shit. So she's wiping him down, trying to decon him. Then she's asking me, she said, look, can you uncuff him so he can be cuffed in the front? Because we're putting a lot of stress on the shoulders. And I was like, okay. And everything's under camera. And I'm like, look, Gomez, I'm like, I'm going to uncuff you. You make any sudden movements, I'm going to take it as a sign of, aggression. So he complies. So I cuff him in the front, right? So she's still talking like a baby. He's like, so what happened, Gomez? He's like, they start beating on me. Like, I just want to know what's on it. And then she's like wiping him and shit, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm watching this shit. So I'm on the phone, whatever. I come back, I'm watching. At one point, he sits there and he's like going like this with his hand, right? And she talks to him some more. She wipes him. And at one point, he starts crying, like deep, like I stole his fucking last popsicle and broke this shit in front of him. So he starts crying, and then when she wiped a certain spot, this cry, I need this video because this cry was so deep. It came from the man's soul. Like we just, it was like she wiped him at some point. He just went, I was like, what the? And I just started crying. I had to walk away. Me and my boy just had to walk away. So now we got to take him to the psychiatric cell, right? So we got to put him in the whole smock shit. So we get him up. I remember at one point he starts talking shit. He's like, I'm God on earth. He's like, no one can fuck with me. He's like, I'm God on earth. I'm like, what the fuck? So we get him up. We escort him down, right? Down to the infirmary psychiatric cell. So now we got to get him stripped down. So I get to the door and I have to keep reminding myself I have to be a supervisor. I have to step back. So I'm like, Gomez, look, you're going to strip out. So I pop the wicket. You're going to strip out, give me all your articles of clothing, and we're going to give you a smock. So he starts handing the clothes, and I started stepping, grabbing his clothes, and he gives him the smock. And the whole time he gets the smock, he's talking shit like he's naming every officer that he wants to sue, and every one of them was a black officer. Not one white guy, not even me. So he starts putting on the smock, and that's when he looked like the Little Monsters guy, right? Hairy armpits and all that shit. So he starts putting on the smock. So you see his face red as shit, teeth jagged as fuck, fucking... Now he's in a psychiatric cell, right? Next day, I get downstairs. The next day I get down to the infirmary. I got to go to the RHU, which I have to go through the infirmary. So I have to walk by the psychiatric cell. So he sees me and he waves me over. And I walk over to the door. I'm like, what's up? He's like, they fucking lied to you, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yo, you fucking bit me. He's like, no, I didn't. I was like, no, you fucking bit me. So he looks at me and he mouths off he's sorry. And I'm like, and he puts his little fist to the window like this.
You give you a pound.
I walk over to him and I'm like, all right, give him a quick fist bump. And I just walk away. I could be like, I got bit by a fucking midget in jail of all places.
Now, do they
break any fucking skin?
Do they get flex pens and shit like that? Because they get
them little the little 2-inch flex pens and shit and a little ass toothbrush.
I'm gonna tell you a quick story about a flex pen. So I'm doing a walk, right? I'm doing a security checkup by myself, and I pass the cell, and these guys are yelling. They're like, "Get him the fuck out of here! Get this motherfucker the fuck out of here!" Right? And I look.
Oh, your boy.
Yeah. So there's one dude in there, and I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "He just stuck the flex pen in his dick hole."
Oh, Jesus!
And I'm like, "What?" I said, "All right." And I pull him out, right? I pull the guy out. This dude is huge, big black dude. He goes to me. He's like, "Hey, what's up? That's my son."
What's up, Lucas?
What's up, Lucas? All right, so I pull him out, and I'm like, "Dude, what are you doing?" He goes, "I'm taking care of my body." I go, "What are you talking about? You taking care of your body?" You're telling me. He goes, "Listen, man." He goes, "A man has to eat 2 ways. They eat through their mouth and through the urethra." And I'm like, I said, "How are you eating through your urethra?" He stuck the flex pen in there. And he was trying to feed his dick grits.
Yeah.
So I go, all right, come with me. And I put him on the rec yard. And I call my sergeant. And I'm like, "Hey, you got to come down here. I said, hey, I need this guy, transport him to the bubble, which is like a mental health section of the jail."
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to go on a direct watch. So they're like, "Oh, okay." So the sergeant comes down. And I told the sergeant, he goes, "What?" I go, "Yeah." So we go on the rec yard, and he starts talking to the sergeant. I graduated medical school. He goes, "I went to North Carolina Community College. I'm a doctor." He goes, "A man eats two ways." So my sergeant goes, "I know one way. What's the other way?" And then he tells him, "Yeah, they eat through the urethra, and I had to feed myself. I take care of my body." So my sergeant looks at me, and I just look at him, and I'm like this. And he goes, "All right, do me a favor, just give me your hands." He gives him his hands. He cuffs him. He puts him on the direct watch.
Jeez. You guys get fucking dudes with domino dick?
Who?
You guys don't get that?
What's that?
They fucking, the poppies do it all the time. They take a fucking domino and they shave it down to like shapes. And they'll cut the top of their dick and they'll insert it.
Oh, I've
and
heard
sew
about
it
that.
closed.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, we get a lot of that shit.
Why do they do
think
that
it's
for?
like they think it's like a sexual arousal for women when they get out. But the thing is, you actually have to have your shit hard for another dude to fucking cut your shit open unless you do it yourself and stick that piece of domino inside and then sew it
like
closed.
they'll do like a diamond or a fucking.
Yep.
I've heard of this
heart.
shit. I've never seen it. But
That's silly.
It's crazy. We had a couple guys. That one dude, a poppy dude. No, he's a little. I think he was like Mexican Guatemalan. He's like South American of some sort. But I remember he came down. His face, like nothing happened to him, right? Like just whatever. So we take him down to medical, and I get called in. I was insecure. This motherfucker, he cut his shit so deep, like it was crimson in his whole groin area. It was so red you couldn't even see his dick. Couldn't even see it. And he was like, his face was like nothing happened. No pain, no flinching, nothing. Like nothing happened. We had to take him to the outside hospital for them to fucking treat him and shit. Man, we'll get guys like him. You'll get guys that get an infection from this shit and have to get it popped out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm surprised you guys don't have that down there.
I've never seen that before. That's the first time I've ever heard of that.
You might get a PA guy going down there and you can see it.
I've heard of it. I can't remember who the fuck was telling me about it, but
probably
I've never actually seen it.
I'm saying the shit you get desensitized to.
Yeah, like, bro, I'll sit there and I'll eat lunch while motherfuckers are smearing, doing some finger painting. I'm like,
yep.
And they'll be like, this shit. The new people be like, yo, that's fucking gross. I'm like, here's what it is, bro.
I had dry cell.
Another day.
I had a dry cell thing, and then our policy is like the officer that watched and has to go through the fecal matter, right? So whenever the time I have a bowel movement, I have to go down there, camcorder, 3-man compliance, the whole 9. And, they shit in a little thing. We have to go through it, at least a few bowel movements to get whatever it is they swallowed out of it.
Yeah.
So I would have this one officer always bitch about doing it, even though it says in the policy. And I don't have an issue in doing it, right? Mm-hmm. So I go down there. This dude took a fucking log shit, right? A fucking log right in the fucking bedpan. So dude don't want to go through it. Normally they're supposed to have like a strainer. There's no strainer, so you got to go through it with a popsicle stick, right? So I had the infirmary inmate workers that were out. They still talk about it to this day. And the kid didn't want to do it. So I just looked at him with my gloved hands, picked it up out of the fucking bedpan and just squeezed it just like that. Just squeezed it. Right, just into nothing, just dropped it. It's like there's nothing in there. I was like, is that fucking hard to do? Motherfucker looked at me like I was fucking nuts. Took the gloves off, washed my hands, carried on with my day. That was
it. Oh man,
that's some funny shit, man.
Yeah, like when I talk to people at work, dude, I go off of General Patton's fucking belief of you say it in the most vulgar way. And people will always remember. So my all calls are filled with a shit ton of fucks. Get the fuck out. This ain't for you. Do your fucking job. Other than that, everyone else, they understand me. So I'm cool.
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts, man.
Jail life.
Yep.
That's good, man. Good shit. Oh man,
yeah. Shit. We went completely off wrestling.
I know, but you know what, man? Nobody's doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
Sure enough, look at that.
You never know what you'll get when you watch a Nights of the Dream Team.
Exactly.
For
Yeah,
real.
man, people need to hear this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's and not too many people understand what we go through.
Exactly.
And you're in the same shit. So
Exactly. It's our
pretty
life
cool.
outside of wrestling. So they think you're already fucked up within wrestling, your persona, not realizing what it is that sets it the fuck off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy as fuck.
All right, dude.
But yeah, bro, we hit that. We already passed our hour mark, bro. Shit, man, we will gladly have you on.
Oh, definitely. I definitely want to come back on.
What are you doing Wednesday?
Wednesday
night.
Your mic is sounding a little fucked up right now.
Yeah. What are we doing Wednesday? I'm off Wednesday. I work during the day. I'll be done at 2. So
you want to jump on Wrestling with Sports with us?
Yeah. Just definitely send me the link.
I will. We will. I'll shoot you what we're gonna talk about too, so that way you can jump on with us.
Okay. I don't follow any fucking sports, but go ahead.
What the hell?
This is gonna be even better now.
I'm a big gun guy. That's it. That's probably about it. You see that? Like I blow Homicide away when he sees my arsenal. He's like, "What the fuck?"
Hey, I can't be around this.
New sure alert. Shit that happens in jail.
Oh shit!
Thank you, Annette. Thank you. But yeah, we're about to wrap this up. Joker, thank you for coming on, bro.
Thank you for coming on,
man.
Come
on. You can be on Wednesday. We'll have you on there.
Yeah, I'll shoot you the link.
Yep.
But we can definitely do another part 2 with you. Obviously, I know you're gonna be getting on with Pierce again whenever he can have you on. But man, we'll love to finish talking some wrestling shit.
Yeah, we'll go to wrestling this time. Something might pop off, you know what I mean? So we'll see.
You wanna plug your socials or anything?
Just Facebook. You'll find me at Q Posada. It's my mother's maiden name. So, that's about it. I don't do the Twitter shit. I don't do Instagram, none of that stupid shit. It's like it's hard enough for me to follow through with shit, you know what I mean? So Facebook's probably about it. Look, just friends request, whatever. You want to leave me a message, leave me a message. You want to come off with that dumb shit, just be prepared. You know what I mean? I don't hold it back. So, but other than that, you know what I mean? That's about it. Facebook.
You got anything coming up that you want to plug?
Nothing yet. Like I said, with Matt Tremont, with H2O, like we haven't ironed out a date yet. And then after that, it's, everything else is a little touchy. I still talk with, Homicide about other projects, you know what I mean? But right now, nothing's like 100% yet. It's all based on, with me, with work, basically just work, and then, like with my daughter, it's like 50-50 custody, but with my work schedules changed a lot. So it's like, balancing the whole, regular life thing and, with the other stuff. But wrestling is something I can't get away from. Like, it's just an urge that, more or less an itch that I have to scratch. And I feel as though I'm not ready to be done yet, even though when I fucked my knee up, which we can go into probably the next show, I mean, that changed my perspective on a lot of things. But, I feel as though now I'm ready to slowly come back into doing what I enjoy doing the most.
I can tell you right, we ain't got nobody booked for next Sunday. We can do part 2 next Sunday.
Let's fucking do it.
You want to do that, Chung?
Let's do it.
Definitely.
I turn 38 that Sunday too, so it'll be a nice little happy birthday.
Shit, happy birthday, fucking Joker. That'll be awesome.
All right,
a whole nother Jameson too.
It's a whole week. We'll dub this the whole week of Joker, because we're gonna have today. We're gonna have Wrestling with Sports, and then we'll have part 2 of this shit. Right?
Yeah, shit. I'm busy now. I gotta text my girlfriend, who's been trying to call me and shit. I'm ignoring her, but only because shit. I don't want to pop off the interview. You know what I mean?
Oh, that was okay. I was hearing like ringing. Yo, maybe we get Nell.
Yeah.
See,
he actually stopped by today for a little bit, so I'll probably try to get him on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be dope, man.
You say
I,
what's
I
up
was
with him.
gonna shoot him a message and see if he was gonna be free anytime soon. So that'll be
Shoot him
dope.
for Sunday. Shoot him for Sunday.
I'll hit him up. I'll hit him up tonight and see if he can
Yeah,
jump on Sunday. That'll be dope. We could get the two
because
of
he
y'all
might
on
be going to Disney World with his family. I
Disney
think.
World.
Yeah. So maybe you could go bother him. He ain't too far.
Definitely, bro. All right, man.
All
But
right, you
thank you
guys
for
have a
coming
good one.
on,
Love
bro.
you
We'll
guys.
see you on Wednesday, bro.
Definitely love you guys. All
I
right.
love you too,
Yeah,
man.
definitely,
Nice
man.
seeing
Love you
bro.
too, bro.
See
It
you
was
on
great
Wednesday.
cracking up.
All right,
Yep.
man.
All right.
Later, bro.
I take care, bro. All right,
All
there
right,
you go.
guys.
Part
Well,
one.
on that note, yeah, part one of
Part one of our interview with Joker.
yeah, man, that was fucking crazy. A lot of people probably ain't gonna understand that, but yeah, you get a little insight. Before we go, let's pay these bills, bro.
All
You
right.
ready?
Yeah, let's do it. Sleeves.com, your one-stop shop for all your sports needs. Get in there. Use our promo code MWAPod for your 10% discount. Like,
All
I like to do
right.
that short and sweet, right? Short and sweet.
Yeah. Healthvape.com. Healthvape sells healthy vaping alternatives. They're vitamin infused. They don't have any nicotine or harmful or addictive chemicals. So make sure you use our code MWAPod for that 10% discount, guys.
All right.
And at the same time, let me get to this banner real quick so we can hit that storefront tier.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, make sure y'all get out there, pick up that Knights of the Gimmick Table shirt. Make sure if y'all do pick up that shirt, yeah, take a photo of it, tag us in it. We would love to see you in a Knights of the Gimmick Table shirt, a little COVID mask, a little koozie if you're drinking some beers or some energy drinks like I'll be doing, you know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Wrap your shit up with a koozie, you know?
Yeah.
But even if you don't do us, if you know, a little killing the business.
Like a little killing the business.
That's your fucking shoot, kid.
Yeah.
Shooting the shit uncensored.
I'm shooting sideways.
Or maybe a little get funked. Guys, if y'all haven't, check out all of our shows on the MWA Podcast Network. And we do appreciate everything that y'all do for tuning in. And what else do we got? Sounds good?
Sounds good to me, man.
All right.
Hey
well,
guys,
on that note,
thank you everybody for tuning in, and we appreciate you very much.
See y'all next week.